Welcome to the Discount Property Investor Podcast, where we show you how to buy real estate at a discount so you can create wealth over time and income today. Our mission is to share what we have learned from the experience of others and help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate, the Discount Property Investor way. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Your host, Mike Slane, joined by David Dodge. Hey, Dave.
Hey, guys. How we doing today?
I almost called you Dodger. We're getting a little informal on the old podcast here, aren't we?
That's all right.
Getting her done.
All in good fun, man.
How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man.
Good.
A little stressed out about a lot of stuff going on right now. Just trying to juggle too many balls, I think. But, all in all, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want to talk about today, right? I think we... even in our business, we're working constantly to build systems to try to make it into a real business, but it's really easy to get overwhelmed. And I've noticed it in you, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk about what to do when you're feeling overwhelmed today. Just some techniques and tips and how we handle it and some better ways to handle it. Because I know a lot of you guys just getting started in real estate, right? So if you haven't checked out our free wholesale course, go do that, freewholesalecourse.com. If you have and you're doing the business and you're working a full-time job and then you're trying to do the wholesale hustle on the side, it's real easy to get overwhelmed.
It is.
I mean, that was
a lot of work.
Yeah, even when it's just your full-time gig, it's still easy to get overwhelmed, especially if you're a one-man show.
Yeah. And
you're hustling out there to get the contract. You get one under contract, then you've got to market it, but you've got to deal with your inbound calls as well as trying to sell that property. It quickly becomes, a full-time job. Wholesaling can quickly become more than a full-time job. So, Dave, I guess my question to you is, really, how are you doing? I know you've been dealing with a lot of life events as well, and that just takes up a lot of time.
Yeah,
so, what is...
I'm good. I'm doing well. Trying to buy a personal residence right now and working with a bank to finance that deal, and that's not been the most easy process by any means.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it, and it's a bank that we've used and we have on our side.
And I'm not going to say anything negative about them by any means because we do a lot of business with them, but I think the thing that I didn't understand, and I wasn't really informed of this going into it, is a primary personal residence loan is a lot different than a commercial business loan or product. I guess the reason is because of the way in which you can pay those back and the way in which the bank can come after you is a little different for primary residence versus business type of a loan. So it's actually easier to go out and get a loan for your business for $1 million than it is to borrow $250,000 from the bank for a primary residence.
Right. Well, especially for us because
it's the craziest thing. You never would think that.
Right. And we went through the process for getting the business loans, and it took several months. It took a long time. And what you're trying to do for the personal residence, in addition to that, you're trying to squeeze it down into this month-long time frame so you can buy it.
That's true.
So it's all the paperwork all at once, and then there are additional requirements. They want everything all over again, even though it's a bank we've worked with.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. Again, they've got the regulations that they have to follow, so they need all of it. But again, so I know that's been on Dave's plate in addition to everything with our business. And our business is going well. I think we all enjoy what we're doing. But just like any business, this is our going into our second year together, and you have ups and downs and highs and lows.
Yeah.
And the past couple months, we've really all been feel like we're putting in so much time and we're not seeing the fruits of that labor yet. So again, what do you do when you feel overwhelmed? So one of the things that I do, and again, Dave will be able to speak to this, is I'm very organized. So for me, it's all about making a list and putting my priorities, basically getting first things first. And it takes extra time, and a lot of people, when you're overwhelmed, you don't want to do that. But I would highly recommend taking your Sunday evening or your Monday morning and just taking a half an hour or an hour to yourself and block it on your calendar and go into work or go to your office or whatever you do, go down in the basement, whatever it is you do, and put together a list of the things that you need to accomplish that week and plan out your week around those things and make sure those things are your first priorities and fit the rest of the stuff in behind that.
Right. That's a great idea.
Right.
Putting things down on paper, prioritizing. Creating lists is something I always do. I do it daily. but I'm not the best at prioritizing those lists, and that's definitely a good way to help relieve some of the stress.
So prioritize and then delegate too.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave, I mean, we've got a good team here that
team.
we can lean on for a lot of things too.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something that, I mean, and we have to be realistic about our time too. I mean, we talked about this the other day is if you're going out there and you look at 2 or 3 properties in a day, it's very difficult for us to come back, get all the pictures uploaded, get all the notes we need to, get the contracts out, to do all that, and then on top of that, do everything else we're doing for our business. So we're growing multiple other pieces of our business in addition to our wholesaling arm.
Yeah, and keeping track of the text messages and the emails, and if you use Slack, it's another communication platform like Skype. And just between all the different things that are going on, it is very easy to become overwhelmed very quickly. So
so again, I'm going to harp on making that list and prioritizing what you need to get done, but then also be realistic about it and cut off about half of it. Because realistically, if you've got a list of 15 things you want to get done, chances are you probably aren't going to get all 15 done today.
Well, that and half of the list, or let's say that the bottom 7 or 8 items, they're not necessarily required to be done today, and people can easily get overwhelmed by looking at that large list, but really there's maybe only 1 or 2 things that need to happen like today or the next hour or 2 hours or whatever the case is, but that need to go. So yeah, prioritizing the list is super important. Absolutely.
So, and then to look at that even further, so then this is not necessarily going to be talking to Dave directly anymore, but I would be talking to everyone is we use something called Traction here in our business, and we plan our business around a calendar year, but then we break it down into quarters, and we have quarterly rocks, which are our big goals. So what I liken it to a book called the 12-week year. So you look at your goals for 12 weeks. Basically, what you want to accomplish in a year, you want to accomplish in 12 weeks. Because when you give yourself a full year to accomplish something, you're going to put it off until the end. You're just not going to focus on it. So if you've got your list of things you want to accomplish for the year, break it back down to the things that you want to accomplish this quarter. So what can you realistically accomplish this quarter? And then look at that every day. That's what I'm doing right now. So I take my list of things that I need to get done in the quarter, I look at it every day, and then I plan my week. So each Sunday or Monday, I plan my week out around what things I'm going to accomplish that week that are going to bring me closer to the things that I'm going to accomplish in that 12 weeks. So that's
a great way to kind of work the numbers backwards.
It is.
Because I do it very similar. So essentially you say, I want to accomplish this year this. And in order for me to do that, I need to do this in the first quarter, so the first 12 weeks. And then I go all the way down to like even, not quite the day, but like the week. So I'll say, okay, well, if I'm going to try to get this done in this quarter, I have 12 weeks to do it, then I need to do a little bit of it either, every week for 12 weeks, or I need to do something every other week, whatever the case is. But the farther you can break it down, if you can get down to the daily or hourly level, which may or may not even be possible, but if you can, that's the best way to do it.
Well, possible or beneficial. I mean, you don't necessarily. It depends on your personality and again how well you work. So one of my big things for this 12 weeks was to help more students, to help more people, and to be totally honest with you guys, I've fallen short. I have not reached out to the number of people that I need to. I've gotten on the phone, made a lot of calls, and that was again part of my 12 weeks. I'm going to try to hit so many people, and I haven't been hitting it. So we, as a company, said, yeah, you know what? We're not helping enough people. We're not reaching enough new students. We're not helping enough people get in. We're not doing the number of co-wholesales that we want to do. So for people here in St. Louis, we're not reaching out to enough of them and helping them sell their deals. So there's this huge opportunity that we're missing because I'm falling short. So one of the things we did, we totally revamped it. Our whole idea behind coaching and helping, and we're actually launching a live event.
Yeah, let's talk about that. REI Traction.
This is a pretty exciting one too.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, so if you check out reitraction.com, that's the full landing page for all the information on that. And the idea is to help people get started in real estate the way that they want to.
Yeah, so basically the reason that we chose the words that we did with REI Traction is, there's three basic ways to get started investing in real estate: wholesaling, landlording, or rehabbing. And you can break each of those down into even more and more categories But really, you know, that's the main three that you can get into. There's obviously more. You could be in the funding business.
And there's crazy niches like note buying
and lease options and all this other stuff. There's lots of ways. But the main three, the high, you know, if you're looking at the high level, you're either going to landlord properties, you're either going to be wholesaling properties, or you're going to buy them and you're going to fix them up, and then you're going to flip them, or even flip them, you know, without even fixing them up. But essentially, landlord, wholesale, or rehab is the three pieces of real estate that we're kind of, you know, focused on. And the idea of the event is going to be to get people to understand that, you know, it's very difficult to do all three of these all at once. And if you're new to the business, especially, you know, we suggest you pick one and you run with that one. Right. Now, we're not saying you can't be a rehabber that wholesales properties, or a landlord that rehabs, or, you know, any of the scenarios that you could think of. Those are all possibilities. But if you're new to the business and you're wanting to get into real estate, you know, and you don't know where to start, we suggest you pick one of those and you jump in with both feet, and you dedicate your time to learning and doing and focusing on that leg of the business.
Mm-hmm. And not just pick one, it's pick one that you're best suited for.
That's another great point.
That's the other thing is that we, in previous episode, we talked about, you know, what if wholesaling isn't working? There's other real estate investing options for you.
Yeah, yep.
And that's exactly part of the event. That's one of the...
Some people just aren't, they don't have the personality to be a landlord, you know,
right,
or they don't have the funds to flip properties. It's expensive to you know, do a $50,000 rehab. If you don't have somebody helping you with it, or you don't have that money, it's impossible for you to do that.
Right.
You gotta go and find it. Yeah.
Right. You can go find the money and then find the deal.
But some people don't have the personality to go find the money. You know, so yeah, it's all about getting people lined up with not only what they think they want to get into, but what they also are capable and have the capacity.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, is capable and have the capacity. And that ties really well back into feeling overwhelmed. So I mean, what do you really have the capacity to take on? And if it's if you have a lot of money, then maybe rehabbing is what you can take on.
Right.
If you don't, or landlording, again, one of those things. If you have a chunk of money ready to invest, maybe one of those makes the most sense. Maybe it doesn't. Again, maybe you have a lot of money and that's your retirement. You don't want to touch it, and you want it to sit in the stock market because the stock market's doing okay right now. Nothing wrong with that. Then maybe try wholesaling.
But back to the topic of this particular show, you know, becoming overwhelmed. You know, so our business is primarily focused on wholesaling, and we've kind of pivoted over the last couple of weeks to keeping a few rentals here and there. We're not like super heavily invested in rentals, but we're buying a couple rentals a month. And some of the rentals that we're buying, they need small rehabs. So we're essentially, you know, again, we're focused on wholesaling, but we're doing all three legs of this business at this point. We're buying to hold, we're rehabbing,
and that's brutal honesty.
We're wholesaling. And it can become very overwhelming, and even with a good team like we have. We have an awesome team. I wouldn't want it any other way. You know, going back to doing this on my own would is not even an option at this point. I wouldn't want to do that. But it can definitely become overwhelming. So having right person, right seat, which also goes back to what you were saying, Mike, with the whole Traction, you know, the book and the EOS system. You know, having the right person, right seat versus having, you know, 5 people trying to make a decision on one.
Right, and what I was going to say is that's brutal honesty right there, and that's part of the reason why Dave, myself, and our other partners are feeling a little bit stressed and overwhelmed, is because we've taken on a little bit of extra stuff, and then, like we just said, if you're not cash positioned well enough to take on some of the rentals, so some of our income that we normally have, we're diverting into holdings.
Yeah.
So it's just there's a whole snowball of things that all of us are dealing with.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to tie it back into our event is the Traction thing is getting the right person doing the right job. So we're lucky to have the team we have, and we're going to start focusing on one of us being the owner of each one of those different businesses that we're working on. And again, that should help relieve some of the some
It's
attention.
exciting. Let's talk about this event, Mike. REI Traction is the name of the event. You can check out the landing page that we put together, reitraction.com. And it's going to be held October 7th. So if you're listening to this and this event has already passed, this is October 7th, 2017.
Correct.
That we're going to be having this event, but we're going to probably do these events quarterly, I'd imagine.
That's the plan right now. We'll see how the first one goes, and maybe it'll be every 6 months or
so we'll have at least a couple a year. But the idea is to get the individual into, you know, this event is really not for the guy already having lots of rehabs, or not, you know, the guy that's already doing 3 flips a month. This is for people that are just interested to learn more about real estate investing here in the St. Louis area. That's where we're located, and we're really excited. We have local people, local pros, including ourselves, that are going to be focused on one of these three legs. So we have a gentleman named Tim we've partnered with, and he is an awesome rehab coach.
God, we got to get Tim on the show, man. We keep forgetting to do that.
We need to get Tim on.
Yeah.
But Tim's going to be, talking about rehabbing and how you can make $20,000 and $30,000 and even $40,000, on buying a house and rehabbing it and then selling it to an end buyer. And he's going to really be focused on the whole rehab side of things. And then our partner Bill's going to be taking up. Bill and Mike both are going to be taking up, the whole rental side of the business, and what it's like to be a landlord, and how you can grow rich in your sleep. But it's a slow play game. There's pros and cons to each of these different businesses. And then me and Ray are going to be talking about wholesaling, and how we can flip properties, and we can do 10, 12, 15 of them a month. Some of them we're making, $2-3 grand on them. Some of them we're making 20 or 30 grand on them. And you have your pros and cons with each, but it's going to be a really great event to show people, what each of these three things consists of, and how they can get involved in these types of investing scenarios. And then of course we'll be offering additional services like coaching and courses and whatnot at the event.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, though, and if you're in St. Louis or you're near St. Louis and you want to come check it out, we'd love to meet you guys. October 7th, come check it out. We're going to be giving a ton of information. Again, probably benefit the novice, brand new guy to kind of a little bit of experience with real estate investing. That's who it's going to benefit the most. And yeah, we'd really love to meet you guys, answer your questions, just get introduced, if nothing else.
Where's it located, Mike? It's Spazio's, right?
Yeah, Spazio's Westport here. So
9 to 4?
8 a.m. to 4.
8 a.m. to 4. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we're starting early.
Awesome.
So we can jam as much as we can in the day.
Sweet.
And again, it should be a good event. We're really, I think all of us are really excited about it.
Yeah. So that's in Westport, Spazio's in St. Louis, Missouri, October 7th, guys, 2017. And again, we're going to have a lot more of these events down the road. I'm really excited. This is our first event. And I'm really just excited to help people, especially those that have the 9-to-5 job, they're living check to check, they're unhappy. Maybe they're overwhelmed with their current life, and they want a job or a career that gives them a little bit more freedom. It's not always about the money. If you can work a little less sometimes and make the same, that could really change people's lives.
Well, that's something I just talked to one of my friends about, or one of my former coworkers. And we were talking about, how much he makes and whatever and how he's doing, and, he loves it, but he's interested in starting in real estate. And I said, listen, you don't have to make the same amount working for yourself that you do working for somebody else, because you get to keep more of it. If you're investing in real estate, you get to keep more of your money. Like, that's a huge advantage to buying these tax preferred assets or tax deferred assets.
Right.
So yeah, it's very exciting. Being able to work for yourself. And that's another thing. We get stressed out. It's totally different, man. It's all we're doing it to ourselves because we want to have more done. But shoot, man, we can wake up whenever we want. We can stop working whenever we want.
I heard this is off topic, but it's not. But kind of. But so I heard a funny quote the other day that I can't remember who said it or where I heard it from, but essentially the meaning behind it was don't worry about this. Don't worry about things, because essentially you suffer twice. And I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, at first I kind of didn't understand what they were getting at. But then I started thinking, I'm like, man, that's so true, because if you worry about it, it puts you in a state where you're essentially kind of suffering. You're making yourself worried and stressed out. And then if that thing that you're worried about happens, then again you get stressed out and you're suffering. But if it doesn't happen, then that worry, you could have prevented that suffer. So don't worry about stuff because you suffer twice versus just going.
So you can probably relate to this too. So I told this to my wife too, and this is getting a little bit personal, but I tell her, don't steal your own happiness, because what you're doing is, if you're worrying about something in the future that you have no control over, you're basically stealing happiness from yourself in the moment. So like dogs live in the moment and whatever, and they're always kind of, they're just happy.
They're always happy.
Dog. They're always happy because they're living in the moment.
If you're around.
They're not worried about where their next meal's coming from. They're not worried about. So again, don't steal your own happiness worrying about things.
It's a great quote.
So similar to yours, just kind of building on that. But it's extremely important, and that's part of feeling overwhelmed too, man. Yeah. You're stealing your own happiness. you can only get done one thing at a time.
Yeah.
You know, we all have 24 hours in a day. You can only get done so much.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, do you have any other pointers for whenever you're feeling overwhelmed?
I didn't, man. I really just wanted to talk it out and see if you had anything else on it.
The things that I've been. So I've also recently got engaged, and we're planning a wedding right now. So on top of dealing with buying a new house and running 16, that's an exaggeration, but 16 businesses, and also planning a wedding, which is a very expensive endeavor, and time consuming.
Yeah. So did you hear that? He's buying a new house that he's going to rehab.
Yeah, then I'm gonna
he's
rehab.
getting married, so he's planning a wedding. Then the discount property investor, we've got just in our company, we've got
a ton of businesses.
6 or 7 different LLCs that we have set
I was
up.
obviously exaggerating, but we got a couple businesses. So a lot, like Mike said, prioritizing, putting lists together. I definitely do that, and I've been trying to do better at that. But also eating healthy and exercising are two things.
Oh man, that's a huge one.
That I've actually haven't made it to the gym in like 3 days, and I feel like hell because of it. Usually I'll go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and you just get. It's one of these things where if you choose healthy habits, you tend to continue to choose healthy habits versus the flip side, where if you choose unhealthy habits. So here's just a perfect example. Like if you go out and meet your friends for happy hour and you have a beer, you're probably not going to go to the gym that night. And if you have 2 or 3 beers or whatever, then you get hungry later, you're probably not going to choose a salad.
Cooking chicken, rice, and asparagus
because you've
for
already
dinner.
had a beer, so you're going to get that cheeseburger, But it's like if you wake up in the morning and you go to the gym and you get off to a really good start, you're probably not going to choose that cheeseburger for lunch. You're going to choose a salad. So it's just like positive, healthy habits. They tend to inspire and create additional.
They reinforce themselves.
Yeah, or positive and healthy habits. So eating healthy and exercise and definitely help with becoming, or help with the stresses of being overwhelmed.
God damn it, Dave, that's pure gold, man. I completely forgot about that. We actually even put that in our home study thing, our daily activities. One of our things is, did you exercise that day?
Yeah, that's true.
Because it is important, and
that's
that's
so important.
Something that I probably need to reevaluate myself, because this morning I was just kind of feeling down for whatever reason. It was early. I just didn't feel like going to the gym.
Didn't feel like going. You're tired.
And you do. You make worse decisions all day because of it. I mean, you really do.
Yeah, the last thing I'd like to add is, and this is something that I don't do that often, but I've started to do more and more, is just a 10 or 15 minute meditation. And you don't have to know like how to meditate or what you don't have to have guided meditation. I have an app on my phone. I think I pay $60 a year for. It's called Headspace. But there's tons of free stuff out there on iTunes or YouTube. YouTube is great. And you can do little guided meditations, and they're 10 or 15 minutes long. They don't take a long time. And you just kind of sit and just breathe, and just breathing exercises is really what it comes down to.
Dave,
it really, really, really helps with
Have you read
stress.
The Miracle Morning?
I have read The Miracle Morning.
Yeah, so Hal Elrod. I wasn't hugely impressed with the book, but the concept itself is really good, and it kind of just encompasses what we just said.
Yeah.
So you wake up in the morning,
He's all about like
getting up early,
exercising,
meditating,
and
reading,
vision, right?
Reading,
it's like having your vision and stating it out loud in the universe and whatnot.
Reading and writing. So those are the things in the morning you're supposed to do: is wake up, exercise, do meditation, then read, spend some time reading something educational or self-improvement, and then writing out your vision, your wants, and I'm not describing it that well, but The Miracle Morning, that's a great book. Again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe revisit that one.
Yeah, writing goals down too is another thing. Even if they're goals that aren't something that you think you're going to achieve right away, just writing them down often, it just reinforces those goals, and you see them. And I don't know if that's going to necessarily help you with with stress or being overwhelmed, but definitely a good thing to do on a higher frequency than most people are doing.
Absolutely.
Most people aren't doing it at all.
Absolutely.
So.
All right, guys. Well.
Yeah, check out REITraction.com though. We'd love to if you're listening here and you're in St. Louis, we'd love to have you at one of our events. The first one, again, October 7th. We're real excited. We just want to help people out. We want to help teach them and show them, what the business consists of and how they can get into the business, how they can make money in this business, how they could, essentially or possibly reduce the amount of time they're spending at their current, job or career.
And just help them avoid mistakes, too, that we've tripped over.
Avoid mistakes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's going to be a good event, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And, Mike, you want to go ahead and close us out with a
I forgot.
Closing quote?
Got a quote. It's not the load that breaks you down. It's the way you carry it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thanks in advance for your support. And remember, you make your money when you buy and get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.